Hello, good evening. A 14-year-old girl has been sexually assaulted after she went into the woods to look for something she'd lost. The girl had been with friends in the wood behind the Onyx Sports Centre in Linwood on Saturday night. The group had gone their separate ways home, but the teenager returned to the wood to search for her lost property. She was grabbed from behind by a man who sexually assaulted her. Police have begun an investigation after a motorcyclist died after being in a collision with an ambulance in Argyll. The accident happened yesterday afternoon on the A83 near Lochgare. The motorcyclist, who was 61, died at the scene. Marathon runner Callum Hawkins says he hopes to be racing again by the summer. The 25-year-old Scot collapsed with heat exhaustion while leading the Gold Coast Marathon at the Commonwealth Games. He was speaking from London, where he watched tens of thousands of runners take part in the London Marathon in record-high temperatures. Cameron Buttle reports.
This time last week, Callum Hawkins was getting medical treatment after twice collapsing while leading the Gold Coast Marathon. On the sidelines of today's London Marathon, he described what happened.
I think it's just the athlete instinct to keep going, especially when you're leading it and you're like, I was so desperate for a medal and I put everything I could into it. I remember feeling not too bad. I don't remember it feeling like too hot at all, and I felt normal for that point in the marathon and how hard I had pushed it. But a few bits are a bit blank, but I do remember when the legs went to jelly. It did come out of the blue for me. I was still feeling strong, and you look at my splits, I wasn't slowing. But yeah, I remember the legs going and then eventually falling and then trying the best I could to get back up and not being able to, and then it's all blank from there.
There was controversy over how long it took for Callum to get medical treatment. He says the rules need to be looked at.
Once I got back up, to be honest, I'd have no recollection of it, so maybe I should have been pulled. Maybe it needs to be a rule put in that after maybe 2 falls or something, or so long that it looks like you're just not getting any better, there needs to be somebody to pull it like boxing.
The runner says he's waiting to see how long his legs take to make a full recovery, but he hopes to be racing again by the summer. Cameron Buttle, reporting Scotland.
The SNP says the Conservatives' Brexit position is untenable and unsustainable after a Tory MP suggested there needs to be some kind of customs agreement. The UK government has pledged to leave the current customs union after Brexit, but it was defeated in the House of Lords earlier this week. Speaking on the BBC earlier, the Conservative MP Stephen Kerr said the government's position hadn't changed.
We absolutely do need to negotiate a trade agreement, a free trade agreement with the European Union, and that should involve tariff-free trade. And so there needs to be some kind of customs agreement.
All right, so you're now suggesting that we should leave the customs union but have our customs union. You're starting to sound like the Labour Party.
No. That is the government's position.
What this is indicative of, Gordon, I think, is this government moving bit by bit to realising their position is unsustainable and untenable. They've seen what's happened in the House of Lords. They're beginning to see where the wind is blowing, which direction it's going, and it's no surprise that they are all over the...
The timetable for the election of a deputy leader of the Scottish Labour Party has been agreed. Nominations will open on the 14th of May and close on the 28th. Voting will close at the end of August. The election follows the resignation of Alex Rowley in December. Now on to football, and Rangers are back up to the second in the Scottish Premiership thanks to a 2-1 victory over Hearts at Ibrox. Daniel Candia scored the winning goal. It was the first match since Rangers' heavy loss to Celtic in the Scottish Cup. The club also suspended Lee Wallace and Kenny Miller following a heated exchange with manager Graham Murty. Now, Andy Murray will make a decision by Wednesday as to whether he'll make his return to competitive tennis at ATP Challenger events in Glasgow in a week's time. The 30-year-old Scot has been recovering from the hip injury he had in January and only recently returned to training. Murray is expected to return to the main ATP Tour action in Holland in June, a week before the Queen's Club tournament. Now let's find out what the weather has in store for the remainder of the weekend and, of course, the start of the new week. And here's Christopher Blanchett.
Hello there. Well, what a difference a day makes. Fairly cloudy skies for many today with some outbreaks of rain and a much fresher feel compared with yesterday. As we go through towards this evening and overnight, still a few outbreaks of rain or showers, some clouds, some clear spells. Not especially cold. Temperatures around about 6 to 9 Celsius. Now, looking ahead to Monday, it's largely dry and bright through Monday morning with some early sunshine. but expect things to cloud over by lunchtime and through the afternoon. So a cloudy afternoon in store with some outbreaks of rain approaching the west coast and moving through the highlands and islands, perhaps a few spots across the central lowlands as well. Warmest in the east and south with temperatures up to around 15 degrees, but cooler elsewhere. And then to end Monday, perhaps a little bit of late brightness just pushing in across parts of Argyll before sunset. For the rest of the week, low pressure in charge. That means reasonably unsettled at times, a number of April showers, breezy from the west and temperatures close to average for the time of year. That's the forecast for now.
So it seems spring has finally arrived. Well, that's all for now. We're back with our next bulletin, which as usual is just after the 10 o'clock news tonight. But from all of us on the team, until then, have a very good evening. Bye-bye.